there's there's a lot of consensus in the medical and psychological fields that would say things like that we hold trauma in our bodies, and that although we have neuroplasticity, like a very flexible brain that's able to heal very well, that we do in fact create almost like canyons in our brain by creating the same thoughts over and over. So each time it's like water passing through rock and
Mm.
creating a deeper and deeper canyon. Um, the thing, I don't know how to answer your question scientifically because they would probably all agree that that's true. But what I would say is it might not be the most helpful thing. Even if it's true, it might not be helpful to believe it. Because if you do have that belief, I think it can do nothing but hold you back. I don't think it's helpful because we know that the more you believe that you have a chance to accomplish or overcome or meet a goal, the more effort and the right amount of effort that you're going to put into that. So if you kind of start out with, it's almost like I was mentioning last time, a brick wall in your thinking, because that sounds big and scary. That sounds like that will take years to undo.
Yep.
That, and like Rob was saying, it doesn't really matter how long you've had it because it's only actually a few days old because it's really just a belief. So, and the thoughts come from the belief. So, are the thoughts ingrained? Are the thoughts like canyons? Probably not the thoughts, but maybe our secondary nature is maybe what we've, in a sense, trained ourselves to do and to go to and to, so the human mind will create associations for survival. Like, say you were stung by a or bitten by a spider, your brain is then going to create an association with anything that looks like a spider.
Mm.
Like a wasp landed on me the other day, and I kind of like reacted like this very quickly, and I didn't kill it. But I actually looked up what this wasp was because it was a really beautiful colored wasp. It was like blue and metallic rainbow, and I wanted to know what it was. It turns out it's a certain type of mud wasp that's non-aggressive and does not sting humans
Yeah.
typically. So, just because I've categorized all wasps as bad and dangerous for my survival does not necessarily mean that that's an overarching truth. So I think we have to be very careful with making these generalizations in our minds, and that belief in itself might just be some another reason to hold us back. So it's almost better if you don't even know about it or think about it.
So that's really good, and that's making me think of that's a really good example, and you're making me think of like a really dumbed down, maybe not so good example, which is if you get bit by a dog and then you say all dogs are scary. I'm afraid of
Mhm.
all dogs. Dogs are scary. I hate them, whatever. And you're around like a 2 pound chihuahua or like your 3 pound dog or whatever, you're gonna feel the same way. You just have the belief that dogs are scary when really you could pick that thing up and like
Yeah,
love it.
yeah.
But it's like the same thing. It's just the belief. And it's like you're I don't know, applying it to everything. And it
Yes.
shouldn't be.
That's what I was about to say. It's an overgeneralization. And I think that's actually like an unhelpful thinking, not style, but it's unhelpful thinking. It doesn't, it's sort of like the example he uses in the manual with racism.
I was gonna say
Uh,
that. I was just gonna say
yeah.
that. Yeah.
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 We make these and we don't even know we're doing it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, our thoughts are so important to our mental health, and it's so important to keep them in check because like ask yourself, why do I feel this way? Do I have a bias toward this person because of where they live or their skin color or how they sound? Do because they're using a certain type of way of speaking, do I assume that they're not as smart, or because they're missing teeth, are they not as smart then, right? You know, we
Yep.
were passing through Virginia and I kind of had to question that, like with myself, don't judge people and don't assume things. And there was an interview I was watching the other day. It was like about a historical site, and there was a janitor there, and he was so well spoken. You could tell he was just such an intellectual person. And just because he's a janitor doesn't mean that he doesn't have the capability or the brains to be anything that he wants to be,
Like Goodwill
you know?
Hunting.
I've never seen it. Now I
Oh my
gotta go
God,
see it.
you need to see it. He's a genius, an absolute genius who's just a janitor at first.
Okay. I
It's a good
thought I've
one.
seen it, but I haven't, so I'll go look that up.
Yep.
But there may be some kind of connection between this dysphoric rumination, these pathways of negative thought. Well, I think that if you're used to thinking a certain way, that's going to definitely be your go-to.
Definitely.
Right. And we know that dysphoric rumination it's not helpful. It doesn't lead anywhere good. It doesn't the results, the consequences of it are just negative. So,
Hmm. Or
or brooding.
make things worse, way worse. Trying to figure out
Yeah.
that can't be solved. How's that going to make you feel? Even more helpless, even more aggravated. So you're probably going to try even harder, which is going to make it even worse. And it's just,
Yeah.
we don't know not to do that. We just do that because our brains are made to solve things and keep us safe. But we're trying to solve things that can't be solved and keep us safe from things that are not threats. And that's how we get screwed up. That's how we
Well,
screw up.
with the invention of like ChatGPT and Google, we see that you can use that tool in a helpful or an unhelpful way. Like I have a person in my life that she has like a lot of health anxiety. So it was kind of a nightmare for her because she became best friends with ChatGPT because it was like every single time there was any kind of little thing because of the desire for control, the high desire and the anxiety, it was like constantly typing in like, well, what if I have this and this and and it just it made it bigger because what we focus on increases.
Yep.
And if it's something that you're scared of, if it's something that you can't control, like maybe for her, she would go get a test done on something that was legit, but she had to wait a few months to get the results for whatever it was. So in the meantime, it was like, are you doing things that are helpful or hurtful, you know, for whatever that is in particular? But
Yeah.
so we want to make sure we're not using social media and tools for rumination.
Well, yes, and that's making me think of what we were just talking about. And the saying misery loves company is very true. Everybody, shouldn't say everybody, a lot of people online and social media are all congregating and trying to, they're sharing how awful they feel and trying to help each other, but they don't really know what they're doing, which is really just like almost like the blind leading the blind, telling people how to better avoid things so they can lessen their panic and their phobia. And it's just not helpful for anybody. It feels nice. It feels nice to be heard and understood and have other people going through the same thing as you, but it's not helpful. If it was, all those people would just heal each other. Or maybe not heal, but you know what I mean? Like they would all help each other build strong mental health. If that worked, it doesn't. It's just it's the same thing as like employees congregating at the water dispenser at work, just complaining about everything. It just feels
Right.
good to do that. It's not helpful. And that's why people get defensive when you try to actually help them and you say something different to them because they're not used to hearing that. They're used to people being like, yes, it is the most awful thing in the world. Oh my gosh. I hope it gets better. Fingers crossed.
Mhm.
Crossing
Yeah.
your fingers isn't going to help.
All right. Right. It just doesn't, yeah.
Somebody's got to say it, you know. If you want different results, you need to do something differently. Like,
Yes.
I'm not one for mentioning quotes and I don't know, but like that's an important one. If you keep trying the same stupid things and listening to people who don't know what the hell they're talking about, then you're probably going to get those kind of results, the results that you'd probably expect from that, which is not good.
Yeah, I think an interesting topic could be for us to kind of distinguish is like, how do you not minimize and invalidate somebody while giving them something that they've never heard of? Like, not like maybe a soft challenge, but not in a way that invalidates their experience. Like, how do you go about doing that? How do you,
They need to
how do you
feel
do that?
they need to feel like they're in control of the entire
Mm,
thing. Anybody does, even somebody who's not struggling. Same thing with sales. My background. If you're if you're telling people you need this, you need to do this, people are going to just become defensive. That's just human nature. So it's more helpful to ask them questions and help
mhm.
them arrive at their own answers because they're going
Yeah.
to believe themselves. They just came up with the answer. They said it, not you. You didn't tell them, So it's,
Mm,
I guess, being empathetic and asking them, well, okay, so you've tried exposure therapy. Has that worked? Has that been effective for you? Yeah, it's worked. Okay, tell me about that. In what ways? Oh,
mhm.
well, I now can leave my house for 1 hour a day. Okay, that's not good enough. I mean, I wouldn't say
Right.
that, but like, is that the end goal that you wanted? That's good. That's a big improvement. That's really good. But like, I don't know, does it make sense to try to look at something that's helped thousands of people completely overcome it? And they're like, that 1 hour thing is just like nothing to them. I don't know. It's just
Yeah. Yeah.
people don't want to be told. They don't want to be told things. They need to arrive at their own conclusions by themselves. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Because even if we sat here and answered all the rebuttals necessarily, they didn't come to it on their own. So yeah, asking questions. Mm.
Asking questions and putting them in the driver's seat so they don't feel like, so they feel like they're in control. But I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough balance because we have something that changes people's lives so fast that it almost sounds like it's magical and too good to be true. And
Yeah.
people who are struggling and already have unhelpful ways of thinking and are paranoid and think negatively and think catastrophically, they're not going to be
Right.
receptive to something like that. You show them hundreds of testimonial videos of people loving their lives who don't have phobias or whatever anymore, and they're going to say that we hired a bunch of actors and actresses
Yeah.
to be in
And
those.
now AI.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. Yeah, yeah. That's that would be you would be able to tell because the quality would be a lot better than what they are in a lot of the testimonial videos.
That's true. That's true.
uh,
Yeah. So what do you think are the main thinking styles that create maybe cynicism or skepticism like I just experienced?
Probably just learn helplessness, having tried a bunch of stuff, which most people have, and failing, even though that's a strong word, but not succeeding to the extent that they wanted to. And then if you tell them, we have this thing that'll change your life and you will be loving life in weeks, that's just the next thing that they're hearing about. I'm sure that's what
Right.
the therapist probably told him something like that. The person who hypnotized them probably told him something like that. The person who put crystals on their forehead and did Reiki and cast spells on them probably told them the same thing. I don't know. So I think probably feeling helpless and probably thinking catastrophically too. They might be thinking, well, this sounds different. Different usually means unsafe to our brain, at least. That's I
Mhm.
don't know. I don't really know about that. That is that am I gonna feel uncomfortable? Am I gonna have to confront my fears head on? Is that gonna make me feel more anxious? Um, what else?
Yeah.
Maybe black and white thinking. You know,
Mm.
it's never worked in the past, therefore it's never going to work. Yeah, I would need a miracle. Like I would need, I don't know, like I don't know, like literally like a miracle. Like somebody would have to perform a miracle, or it's never worked in the past. There's no maybe this will work. Like that doesn't even exist to those kind of people. And it's simple. It's just these are all they're all just ways of thinking. That then they're all just beliefs, and that's what screws people up. I
Yeah.
man, I don't know. I don't think there's anything really more to add to it. It's the unhelpful way of thinking about things instead of wait, hang on, I have a good one. Here's a good one. The emetophobic client that I have now, when we were talking about looking at her beliefs, one of them from the TQ quiz that says people who are bullied are scarred for life. And she strongly
Mhm.
agreed with that statement. So I walked her through how to actually look at that belief, examine it, you know, and I said, I'm going to give you this one. I'll give you the answer on this one. The rest of them, it's you believe whatever you want. We're teaching you how to actively be part of the process of forming your beliefs, right? But so I said, but this one, I'll give you the answer. Being bullied does not have to scar somebody forever. There are people who are wildly successful who were bullied that are running massive companies, happily married, doing all kinds of philanthropic good deeds, giving money away, living the best life in the world. Millions of people. I don't know what the number is. Nobody would be able to tell. But the fact is, there are definitely millions of people, and they had all
Mhm.
been bullied, and they are now thriving one way or another. And so then the question was to her, well, so with everything I just said, the belief that you had or have, where does it come from? Is there proof? Is there evidence? Did you consciously sit there and form that belief, or do you just believe it for one reason or another and you have no idea why you believe it and you've never even questioned it until right now? We all know what the answer is. And I was like, that's it. That's what you do with all your limiting beliefs. And that's it. Because you were just, and then I said, imagine if you had a kid who got bullied. You would have two options. One is, oh my God, this is crazy. You're a bully. The world is a scary place. This is awful. And then you baby them and then whatever. And they're not going to grow up thriving. Or hey, that's okay. It happened. It wasn't your fault. You are strong for being able to deal with that. It's going to make you stronger. It's going to make you a better
Mhm.
person.
Yeah.
That kid's gonna grow up a completely different way. So that's why this
Right.
stuff is so important. It sounds so stupid, like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Bullying? Well, it's because that one stupid belief that you have could change your entire life, your kid's life. So now imagine looking at all the other beliefs that you have no idea why you have them or where the hell they came from.
Yeah. Well, I think society also pushes those thinking styles on us as well. Like not just the news, but a lot of things on social media talks about how, how serious bullying is and things like that. And I'm not taking away from how cruel people can be. They can be, but you don't have to give your power away. You can take, like you said, you can take that experience and actually make it, allow it to make you stronger. You can use it, you can turn a bad feeling and motivation into a strong and good motivation to be like, not to like prove them wrong, but sort
Yeah.
of like fire under you to be like, you know what? I don't I don't need to give my power away to you. I don't need to, it's not important to me and I'm going to go do my thing. And it's so funny because if you look at the people in high school who are the, like the most quiet or sort of not bullied, but just not seemingly important, they were nerdy, they were getting the good grades, things like that. They're the most successful now. And a lot of those jock wrestler football players
They're
and
probably
stuff,
still there.
they I was about to say that they still live in the same town, which is
Yeah.
not, you don't have to move. But like when I moved home for 2 years, back to New Jersey, I saw that. I saw people were just like doing things like washing dishes at restaurants that I thought that these were the people that I was intimidated about. You know, I was like, whoa, in high school. And I was like, I'm not saying that what you do as a career like defines who you are, but the overall picture you get is they're probably on drugs. You know, they look run down. They're not loving their life. They're not like they're not thriving.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But you had uh, maybe not you, but like people, kids would have the belief like that's the cool person, that's the popular person, they're awesome. It's just a belief, and that's more often than not, it's going to be a dumb belief. They're going to be the ones who are still like, when I said they're still there, I meant like they're still in school, like they didn't even graduate.
oh,
But another thing that we could talk about is when we ask clients like to what extent do they think that they could run a marathon,
hmm
and just like the bullying statement really has nothing to do with bullying. What we're really trying to find out is, do people think that they can like choose a direction of their lives? Can they change it? Are they in control? Or do external factors like bullying just have to limit them forever? Which the answer is no. So
right.
the person I asked the other day, this the same person, she strongly disagreed that she could run a marathon. Now, at first, that sounds like a, oh man, maybe she's got low self esteem, she's not confident. But the answer was, well, I said, well, why? The answer was, I have no interest in running a marathon. I don't like cardio, but if I really had to, I would go buy running shoes. I could hire a trainer. There you go. So that's a very capable. I can do anything, and that's like what we don't care
Yeah.
if you run a marathon or not. I hate running. You know what I mean? It has nothing to do with that. It's just, do you feel capable in your life to be able to figure things out, do hard things, and really be in control?
Yeah. Put the effort in, like Mary's story with the basketball.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. So it has nothing to do with the running. It's not, it's, do you feel capable? Can you make things
Yeah.
happen?
So much of what, so much of life is just how much you dedicate to something. If you want to do it, you dedicate your time and your effort and you do the things that you're supposed to do in order to achieve the goal, like you will achieve the goal. But a lot of times people get so emotional and they start bringing so many other things into it. Like, well, when I was 5, somebody told me, or I can't because, or it's strange. Like, why bring self-esteem? Why bring, your emotions into a decision that has nothing to do with any of that? Like, if you want to lose weight, it's just about, I mean, it's not just about cutting calories, but a lot of it is predictable. We all lose weight very similar ways, right? It's
Yeah,
not like it's, there is some diversification, but I mean, mostly it's a formula, right? Like if you work out more and you eat less or eat better foods and you stop eating like fried foods and things like that, that you'll succeed. But everybody, not everybody, a lot of people bring into that decision and that goal so many things that don't even need to be considered because
This is
it
such
really
a
just
good
is about
example.
effort. Yeah.
That is such a good example. That's exactly what we're doing. It's the same thing. The person who wants to lose weight, they wouldn't say, all right, so I've gained 100 pounds over the past 20 years. It's not worth trying because it happened in the past. But people
Mm.
will say, I was bullied 10 years ago. I can't get past it. I think they look at it the same way, and it's not, I don't know, they don't know what they don't know. They don't know any better. And I guess that's what we're trying to help. That's what we're trying to help because it's the same thing. Like you just mentioned the formula, that is so brilliant. And I mean that as like an American brilliant, not like the English brilliant. Um, because it's so predictable. If I counted my calories and I ate less every day than what my body needs to maintain itself, I will lose weight. You can't you can't argue with that. It's just
Mhm.
facts and science. And that's what we teach. If you build these habits, these thinking habits and managing your thinking and examining what your beliefs, it's the same thing. So it's like so that's probably why he says it. The whole, what does he say? Cambridge to London. If you stay
Yeah.
on that road, no matter how fast you go, if you crawl or go, you're going to get to London. You will get
You
there.
will.
It's the same thing. It's so predictable. So that was
I
smart.
think
That was
that's
a very smart
comforting.
thing of you to say. The formula.
Oh, well, it's kind of the answer for almost everything because human behavior is very, I'm speaking from my psychological background. It's like it's very similar and it is kind of predictable. Like if you run tests on humans, I know that I took social psychology and it was very interesting to see like the different tests with conformity and things that they've been running for like the past 50 to 70 years. It's so interesting to see how people respond. I think one of them had to do with like a waiting room and ringing a bell and everybody would just get up all at once. And then the new person was like looking around. And then after a while, she would get up and she would sit
You
down
didn't know
and
why?
this no idea what was going on. She
Yeah.
just kept looking around. But after a while, she just conformed to it and she didn't even look around anymore or anything. She would just put the book down blindly and get up and sit down. It looked ridiculous. It was just like a medical waiting room.
Yeah.
And they were doing it like up, down. Like it's so funny. Or my favorite one is the hat one on the elevator. Have you seen that one?
I don't think so.
I gotta send it to you. It's like an older one with when gentlemen used to wear hats all the time, and they have a camera in the elevator, and it had to do with, let's see if I can get this right. They would all like pick up their hats, put the hats back on, turn around. Even though the door was like this direction, everybody in there would that knew what was going on would turn around and look towards the back. And the
Hmm.
one new guy was like, so he would turn around and look towards the back.
Yeah.
Or if they would all take their hat off, he would take his hat off. I had no idea why. So human behavior, it just, I think also in our training, did we do the Stanford prison experiment? Was that okay? Yeah. That one's interesting as well. But it just goes to show you that not only behavior is predictable, but most scientific processes in life, like losing weight, is predictable as well. So
Yeah.
why do we make it emotional?
Yeah. And oh man, I don't know. And now I'm starting to think like the people who think that they're too far gone or they're too complex or I've had this issue for way too long. Like if somebody lost their job or lost money like 10 years ago, they wouldn't just be like, all right, I'm just gonna stop. I'll just stop working. I'll just stop saving. Like it didn't work.
Yeah.
Like I don't really see how that's any different. But I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I don't know. I'm trying to think like how I felt when I finally was like, I got to figure this out. I tried a bunch of stuff. I don't know. That
Just
was,
didn't want to give up, right?
I guess not. Yeah. But I guess, I don't know. I get maybe just people are different. Maybe some people give up more easily. Maybe my desire for control, which is what's screwing me up, was so high that I was using it also for something good, which was like you. No, we're done with this. We're figuring this out right now. We're done with it. Like I'm
Yeah.
not giving up. So maybe
Yeah.
that's, and I don't think you can teach people that. You just have to, I don't know.
Just some kind of drive or belief, or I mean, I felt the same way when my psychologists would or when people would say you just have to live with it, or they had no idea what to do. You mentioned earlier that like they'll tell when you walk into an office, a hypnotherapist, a psychologist, they're probably going to tell you what they're going to do, but they didn't do that for emetophobia. They were just like, you could tell that they didn't know what they were doing.
That's why you have to just
And
manage it because they don't know what the hell to do to help you.
well, that's where that drive came from because I was like, these people don't know. There has to be an answer, and it's not here. And I knew that it wasn't in medication because the medication just served to almost like numb me or sedate me. And I was like, this is not the answer. This is
Yeah.
not making me feel stronger, better. Um, I still feel and believe the same things, and I knew it. And I wanted to just get rid of it.
Yep.
I saw other people didn't have it. So I was like, I could be like that, but how do I get there? And it's not this and it's not that. So what is it? You know?
So we both found a way to use the thing that was causing our problems for something productive. The high desire for control. I have to figure this out. I will figure this out. I'm not going to stop. My brain is going to figure this out. That's what caused my panic attacks. Oh, we're trying to control everything, trying to think of everything, and all over the place. That's what caused your emetophobia. But we were able to use it to get over it, which is actually really interesting now that we are talking about it and I'm hearing this out loud. That is interesting because it is the same thing. That's all it is.
Hmm.
But that's so
Yeah.
sad that people they're told all you can do is manage it. You can
Mm.
just we'll help you manage it. Like anybody could do that. Like I don't know. I could set up shop and be like, I help people manage their phobias, and you come in and we drink a beer or two beers. It's gonna help. Like they're just saying that because they don't know how to help you. You know, we'll help you manage it because up until 5 minutes ago, first of all, I didn't know what the hell that was that you just said, that big long word. And now that I do,
Right.
I don't know how to help you. So we'll help you manage it by listening to mindfulness CDs.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah. Or they were a bit like almost like demeaning as if like, how can that make you, or why are you so debilitated by that thing? That was the response I could read on their face, um, and hear in the tone of their voice. It's just more like, okay, so you're scared of throwing up. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I've never known anything else. It's terrible. It feels like you're gonna die. Like I would just be like, I would rather die. I
Yeah.
would rather jump in front of a bus. I would have to use this crazy language in order to get them to understand, hey, it's not like I'm kind of scared of a snake. I mean, and then I would have to explain all the ways in which it limited my life. And it was almost as if I was teaching them something and paying for it. So
Yeah. So how are you
you,
gonna feel after doing that?
you know
Oh,
immediately I'm not getting anything out of this.
yeah.
You
If
just know.
if they don't know, who the hell does know? I
Right.
definitely can't be helped. This person
Yeah.
with all these diplomas on the wall, they don't know. I I'm an anomaly. I'm broken, I'm
Right.
screwed.
Yep. Yep. And with the emetophobia, as you know, we understand it's called the secret phobia. So I had never met anybody else with it, and I had been made fun of a lot. So my self-esteem was pretty low. I was very alone and confused. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I mean, literally nobody until I was in college did I know that understood or had it at all. Sometimes here and there, somebody would say something like, "Yeah, I don't like that either. It's gross." And I'm like, it's not the same.
Different. Yep.
Yeah. There were so many things that you ruminate trying to figure out all those years. Where did this thing come from? Why do I have this? I guess it was because this kid in my class would get sick all the time and people would make fun of him and think he was gross. Well, I guess that's why, you know, you start doing the dysphoric rumination. But, the research shows that if you're going to think about something a lot, you have to do it in a certain way for it to be productive because it's really easy to go down the other path. And I think the term we see a lot online is overthinking,
Yep.
but the fancy word for it is that dysphoric rumination, where you're just going over it and over it and over it, but you're not actually finding positive solution.
Right.
So
That's definitely right.
you're just digging yourself into a hole of lower self-esteem, more victim mentality. Um, I don't think I ever felt that way necessarily, like I was a victim or something. I just was, I just didn't want to be that way anymore. And I couldn't understand why I was so different.
Yeah. That it's weird because you think that, I don't know, you think that everybody else is normal. And they're, people are dealing with their own stuff. But especially that phobia, the vast majority of people don't have it, and people do keep it a secret. So, yeah, I don't know. But I
Well,
think,
it's a double-edged sword. Oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead.
Go ahead.
You
I
go.
think it's a double-edged sword with the social media because they're coming out the woodwork. You can type the word in and people know what it is. There's a hashtag for it. People are making funny videos. People are talking about it. People are colluding with each other. We have these support groups and things. And in a sense, okay, I'm not alone.
Yep.
There's got to be a reason for this, which is different than how I grew up. But at the same time, it's still not really helpful. It just, that's the only positive thing about it is and I was kind of looking, scrolling through, and there were just regular psychologists on there now. I guess they picked up on it and they're trying to walk people through like breathing techniques and stuff. And it's just not, it just doesn't cut it.
No, and it comes back to the whole, instead of learning how to put fires out, you need to learn how to stop creating fires. Because with
Right.
a debilitating phobia like that, do you want your whole life to be just putting out fires all day long? That's horrible. That's
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah. I lived it. And going from that to this, where I'm at now, is like your whole headspace frees up. Your body. One thing I wanted to talk about is that I didn't mention the other night on the live is how exhausting it is to your physical body and how you're just completely drained almost every single day. It's just you can feel it in your body. You can feel how exhausted and tired you are, especially when you're not getting sleep because you're up multiple times in the night. I'd always wake up at 2, 3 a.m. and just start pacing. Sometimes I'd be up 2, 3 hours, just chewing gum, pacing. I'd have ice packs on my head. I'd waste so much time, but my body just was just racked and
Yeah.
just I can't believe I was doing that to myself and I didn't have to.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why we need to get the word out and help more people, because they don't have to be doing that. They can go to restaurants and travel and have children,
Yeah,
but
some of the
they won't
yeah.
be able to if they're working with somebody who says, I don't know what the hell that phobia is. Everybody hates it.
Yeah, you just have to live.
You know?
They, yeah, they most of the time they just prescribe them a drug, especially in America. I know that the UK is a little bit more not strict, but they don't just necessarily hand out drugs like that. Over here, it's like if you send your kid to the doctor at like 11 or 12 and he's like, well, I'm not sleeping well or this or that, they're just going to hand them some crazy big named drug, and that's
Yeah.
not the answer. That sets them on a course for externality, um, not actually dealing with whatever that thing is, especially like, you know, anxiety or manifestations of ADHD, things like that, social anxiety, or like you were mentioning earlier, with Logan, he was in public school when he was a little bit younger, and there was an autistic child, and the autistic child tended to be a little bit more abrasive with everybody in the class. And immediately, like his mom was like, I'm just going to take him out. I'm just going to take him out of school. I'm going to move him somewhere else. She moved him probably 5 or 6 different times within a period of 3 or 4 years, which I found to be more unhelpful in many ways, just for stability and also not tolerating, because we told him, hey, it's okay. He's not bullying you. We'd explain it and how to cope and tolerate with it instead of just taking him out.
Yeah.
So
We're
I
too quick
just, I,
to like avoid pain in
yes,
any way here, at least in America. I don't know, but very, what you just said with the medication, here's some medication, or I feel like crap. All right, I'm gonna take drugs. I'm gonna drink. I'm gonna take the kid out of the class because somebody was yelling at him, or
mm,
nobody's first thought ever is really just like, all right, let's just calm down for a second. Can I just tolerate this? Can I deal with this in a calm way? And
right.
if people did that, the answer would more often than not be yes. But I don't know. Maybe it's just our culture. I have no idea.
Yeah, yes, but the fruits of that, as we can see, I don't have the statistic in front of me, but the amount of people that are using um, both pharmaceutical and illegal drugs is so high. And something really struck me when talking to my brother, who has used drugs for many, many years since he was young. He had a moment of sobriety, and one thing he said to my mom in tears during that time was he said, life is scary. I'm scared. And I think what happens is when you start children off at a young age, where you're not teaching them to cope, you're not teaching them to tolerate. They don't have to experience unpleasant, uncomfortable, painful things. And you immediately like put a not a band-aid on it, but you remove them from the situation. You take them and you don't let them experience. They don't build any coping skills, including emotional coping skills. So the minute something is hard, they don't have emotional regulation and emotional intelligence skills, and their secondary skills, which is the coping and tolerating, is so low. And of course they're utilizing their primary, because I think that's a natural thing that humans do.
Yeah. Avoiding
Um,
pain and discomfort, of course.
right. And controlling. We all control every single day. If I pick up this can, I'm controlling, but we're not necessarily exposed or taught to the secondary um, skills of the space, the locus of control. And I think that's one of the major issues with addiction in our country right now
Mm.
is people don't have the ability to do that. And same with anger management, which I believe the Thrive program would resolve as well, because it's just essentially not being able to like get perspective,
Yep.
um, and handle something that feels uncomfortable.
You think that it's happening to you.
Yeah,
Someone's
it all goes
making you
back to the
mad.
same thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna end the recording here
Okay.
for a couple of reasons.